going to talk about how to preserve or keep our herbs and different vegetables fresh when we get them from the grocery store. So we have fresh cilantro right out of the bag. Keep your bag though that you have had, your plastic bag. You can always fill a jar with water like I have, a glass, a bowl, anything like that. Simply take your herbs. Now if they're a little bit brown on the edges, you can go ahead and clip them off with a knife or with your kitchen shears. Don't use this kitchen shear, don't use the shears that have been used out in the shop, and hide these from your husband. Put these down in water. Now a lot of people make a mistake by putting their herbs, now this is cilantro, you can use fresh parsley, your basil, anything like that you can use to do the same way. So don't put it in the refrigerator. A lot of people make that mistake because then it becomes slimy. You take that bag, cover it like a hairnet. I always tuck it underneath the jar, and you simply leave it on the countertop and it will stay nice and fresh. And then you can use it for all of your recipes. Have you ever bought your broccoli at the grocery store and it seems a little rubbery? So you want to get it nice and crisp. Very simple to do. Now this head has already been trimmed pretty small when I picked it up at the grocery store, but just make sure that the edge is always open. So trim it off, get you a bowl, a jar, something like that, and just put your broccoli down in it so that the stem absorbs that water. It will make it nice and crisp. Now, if you are having a party and you're breaking your broccoli up into those bite-sized pieces that we all like with dips, if you want to do this ahead of time, just simply put your bite-sized pieces of broccoli, cauliflower, your carrots, your zucchini, your cucumbers, slice them all up in individual Ziploc bags, add some ice cubes to them or water, zip them up, keep them in the refrigerator or the cooler, and they'll stay nice and fresh for the time when you have to put them out for a party. Okay, let's talk about asparagus. You always want to keep your asparagus nice and crisp. And sometimes at the grocery store, they have it stored in a little bit of water, which is great. You need to store it in water at home also. So make sure that those ends are trimmed just a little bit so that they're not sealed up and they will absorb water. You can go ahead and remove these nice large rubber bands. Get you a glass, jar, anything like that, and put your asparagus down into that water and place it in the refrigerator. And it will absorb that water and stay nice and fresh. Now, when you are ready to use your asparagus, as we all know, to break it, you want to take the rubbery, quote, quote, rubbery ends off. You break it like this. The bottom part is the rubbery part. You discard that. This is the part that you would use for your salads, baking, grilling, anything like that. And you can go ahead and cut it up. Now, a lot of people say, oh, you're wasting something, these ends. Take the ends then and make a stock with them for your soups and stuff like that. Then you're not wasting them. Celery. When you buy a bundle of celery, it seems like we have a huge amount. We only use a couple of stalks. And then what do we do with this to keep it fresh? Well, always remember to wash your celery very good and trim the ends. And if it has the leaves, use the leaves. There's a lot of there's a lot of vitamins in those leaves, and they're not going to hurt anything. So your remainder of your celery, what you can do to store it is take a piece of aluminum foil and wrap it in foil and place it in the bottom drawer of your dehydrator, and it will help to keep your celery nice and crisp. Don't ask me why it works that way. It just does. It's one of those things. when using your cilantro for a recipe, after you pull it out of your jar here of water, and yes, they like each other, and so they're all tangled up, and that's okay. A lot of people will use the leaves and the stems. Well, you don't want to use the stems. So go ahead and you can either pinch off your leaves or a little bit quicker. I always have kitchen shears, so I will snip them off real easy this way. The stems is where you have a bitter taste in the cilantro. Take your scissors and just use them like this to chop up that cilantro. You can do fresh parsley, the flat-leafed Italian parsley, or the curly parsley the same way. It just makes it a little bit easier to use that and to get it chopped up for your recipes. Okay, let's talk mushrooms. If you ever buy your mushrooms, a lot of people make the mistake of washing a mushroom. A mushroom is just like a sponge, so when you wash it, it's going to absorb that water. Think about it in a recipe. When you add it in a recipe, it's absorbing the liquid and the flavors of that recipe. That's the beauty of mushrooms. So to clean a mushroom, get a mushroom brush. They sell them. They're real soft little bristles. A soft bristled toothbrush will work the same. And just brush off that dirt. Very easy to do. And you're done cleaning your mushrooms. Now, if you are going to use them in a recipe, pop the stem out. It's easy to do. Like that. You can still cut this part up and use it, or if you have your cap, that is really easy to just slice up. Okay, green beans. They've all come out of the garden this summer. We all love them. There's a lot of different varieties of your green beans, but this is a great kid thing to get the grandkids or the kids involved, is snapping your beans and snapping the ends off. Easy to do. If you want to do it a little bit faster, of course you can always use the knife and cut the ends off. But why not have that time outside snapping them? And if you have a string bean, then of course it's going to, as you snap, you would string down the side and take the string off of it. But these are not string beans, so that's why it's easier just to snap them. And they're ready to go. Let's talk tomatoes. Beautiful tomatoes out of the garden. Indiana's known for their tomatoes. This is just what we would call a regular, maybe beefsteak tomato. There's a lot of different varieties, but it's very large. Great for those hamburgers, just a big slice. This one with a little bit of a different color is called an heirloom. So that one has, they've taken the traits and the varieties of several different tomatoes to put them together in a seed of whether we like a juicy tomato, one that's more meaty, the color of it. As you can tell, it's a little bit darker, so maybe it has a cross between the purple tomato, that is also an heirloom, and a red tomato, and a little bit more green. So to slice a tomato, a lot of people will make the mistake of trying to use a regular edged knife. Well, that's going to tear your tomato. So you want to use a serrated knife, the one that has the wavy edges to it, that you don't know what to use for in your kitchen. Really easy to do. Take and in a sawing motion, just cut your tomato this way. You can continue to slice your tomato in however thick or thin slices, but again, using the sawing motion. You can't get a sawing motion with, or you can get a sawing motion, but you don't get a good slice when you try to use a regular flat blade on a knife. But you can tell that this tomato is very juicy tomato. There's a lot of meat in it, very, very pretty. Now another way to slice a tomato, if you want even slices, is to take a gadget like this that's used a lot. I use it a lot in my kitchen. Just pierce your tomato and go down the sides of it. And go in the middle of the tines there. And it will slice your tomato, however thick or big you want it. And there you have your slices. Now to go ahead and cut your tomato into some smaller pieces. Again, you can pierce it so you're not chasing it all over the cutting mat. And slice. Turn, and then I just hold the rest. And easy, you have those small pieces to go into your tacos, your nachos, your salsa. Here's your tomatoes. Okay, onions are one of my favorite things to teach about and or use in my cooking. This is referred to as a sweet onion, a Vidalia onion that we get this time of year. Our onions in the summertime are milder flavor and sweeter flavor. In the wintertime, what has happened is the onions have been stored in large warehouses in refrigeration, and they tend to get stronger. And that's why our onions that we have in dishes are a lot stronger in the summertime. In the wintertime. Now, to cut an onion, there are a lot of people don't like to do this because they will cry. But a little hint is if you will leave the root end intact the whole time that you are cutting this, that is where the sulfites are that release usually and make you cry. So this is the top end. I always just trim it off, partial way, and then I can peel the paper outside, lining out, covering, because we don't want this part. Normally I say use everything on the outside of a vegetable because that's where the vitamins and minerals are. But in an onion, the paper covering we don't want. Really easy to just go ahead and peel this off. If it's a little bit cantankerous, take your knife and slice it off. Okay, so now to chop an onion, I'm going to make one cut through that root end now, but I'm going to work fast. Now I lay the halves down and go from the cut end. I'm going to make slices, not all the way through, almost to that root. Kind of following the veins there. Then I'm going to cut planks using a sawing motion. And I usually do 2. If it's a very large onion, I'll do 3. Now take and slice down, and you have your chopped onion. Root end still there, discard it, and I haven't lost a tear. Now onions will tend to get in your pores of your hands, and I'll even sometimes smell them the next day when I'm washing my hair in the morning, or they just tend to stay in the pores of your hands. But if you will use a piece of stainless steel, this is just another gadget, or if you have a stainless steel sink, rub your hands on that when you're washing them, even your knife, and that will help to take those odors out of your pores of your hands. Okay, let's talk jalapenos and peppers. If you notice I have gloves on, the jalapenos will burn you. The seeds and the veins are where the hotness are and will get into your pores of your hands and burn you. So always wear gloves. Little hint, very, very easy to do. So once you've picked your jalapenos and brought them in, rinse them and then use a little small knife, cut it at the end, cut your stem end off. Then if you're going to use stuffed jalapeno poppers, you can always take an end, this has little ridges in it, and just dig it out. Dig out those veins in the center part. And then your jalapeno will be ready to stuff with your cheese or whatever you want to make poppers with. Rinse it out in the water, and it's easy to stuff. Now, I always do these for a party, but I do them the day before, and I don't want them to get soggy and mushy. So at this point, I put them into a container of water in the refrigerator. They will stay nice and crisp. Pull them out, drain the water all out of them, go ahead and stuff them, and then they're ready to go on the grill or in the oven. Now, if you're going to chop a jalapeno, again, cut the end off. You want to cut it in half from the top to the bottom, and then remove those seeds. Again, you can use a knife to remove them, or I like to use my handy little gadget here. And it just takes them right out very fast. Or half. You can go ahead and continue to chop. Again, if you want the halves, or you can chop this way. Put your rings or your half moons together and chop very small. Now, around our house, we tend to leave the seeds and the veins in because we like things really spicy. There's your jalapenos. To mince your garlic is you do need to remove the peeling on it. So through the tube, do this one of two ways. Roll it. Oh, look, we had several family members in that one pod that we didn't know about. It's taken the peeling off. Take a garlic press. Put your cloves down in here. Make sure your stopper is down. And it presses our garlic out even smaller for us. And here was just a little bit of the skin left, so it pressed it through the skin. Once again, the clove in there. Press it. And there's our skin, right there. Well, it looks like to me we have the perfect ingredients to have some fresh pico de gallo that we can throw together really easy. So we have our onions that we chopped earlier. Let's just go ahead and add the onions to our bowl. We have the chopped tomatoes that we had earlier. And now we need to add our jalapeno. We're going to chop a little bit more. Let's give it some more kick here. And add this in. We have our garlic. And what else? But we need cilantro. So I'm just going to use my quick shears here. Take our leaves, like we talked about. Make sure there are no stems. We'll take our kitchen shears and just chop that up. Usually in pico, your cilantro is a little bit bigger. It's not so fine. Add this, little stir, and that quick and easy, we have our pico de gallo, fresh from the garden, all of our ingredients. Indiana is known for growing basically 3 kinds of corn. Of course, the sweet corn that we all like to eat. Then we have these fields and fields of corn that people see that are really tall usually. And that is what we call our field corn. It's hot, it's harder grains, kernels. And we use this to feed livestock and in many products that we purchase. But a lot of people will go into other people's fields and pick this field corn thinking they're getting sweet corn and take it home. It's very different, it's a lot harder. It has a bigger kernel, as you can tell, than the sweet corn. The third kind of corn that we have in Indiana is popcorn. Remember Orville Redenbacher? There's a lot of popcorn grown up in the northern part of Indiana. And that's what these kernels are. As you can tell, smaller, a lot smaller. We usually nowadays don't see a lot of popcorn in a bag, so to speak, like when I grew up, because we have the easiness of popping it in the microwave, so it already comes in a bag, and we never see those kernels. But we do have 3 kinds in Indiana of corn: popcorn, field corn, and sweet corn. Sweet corn, as we all know, you never know what's in the package. When you open it up, it's a big surprise. So as we shuck the corn, a lot of places, grocery stores, the farmers markets will let you shuck it before you get it. Here, to me, we have a perfect ear of corn. It's not, it's filled out to the complete end. Now this one was not. It's okay to eat it. You can cook it this way, or if it bothers you, just go ahead and use a knife and cut that end off, and you can still cook it. Okay, we have some of this great Indiana sweet corn we have just picked out of our garden. One easy way that Dale and I like to eat our sweet corn, and he's the one that taught me this, is taking the corn, husk and all. He just brought this in from the field, and he's going to pop it in the microwave. Now Dale, how long do you cook this in the microwave?
3 minutes.
3 minutes for an ear of corn. So he's going to put that on.
For a medium-sized ear, about 3 minutes. If it's a little big ear, a little more. If your microwave is not a full powered one, you may have to have a few more time on it too. You have to kind of play with it.
Right. So once this comes out of the microwave, we will shuck it and we'll cool it down and shuck it. And then it's ready to eat. So this is how we like our sweet corn, because we're going to eat it pretty much right out of the field this way. Okay, the microwave has ended, so the corn is ready, we hope. So Dale's going to open up the microwave, get his corn out. Now if you'll notice, he's wearing gloves, different things like that to help keep his hands, because that corn is hot. So get some cold water going and run the cold water over your corn, your corn. It basically has steamed that corn inside, and now he will begin to peel it off, shuck it. Excuse me, not peel it. You don't peel corn, you shuck corn. And you can see, or right here, I can see the steam coming out of this, even with the cold water hitting it. It's easy to remove the silks when it's running under that cold water. You can pop off the end. Your corn is still hot.
It's still hot. It took out the cob.
It remains really, really hot inside your corn. Dale's ready to eat his
We need to
corn.
wipe the water off.
Oh, he tells me we have to wipe the water off. Now we're going to wipe the water off. We wouldn't want soggy corn. Dale says he wants to eat this. So we're taking a little bit of butter. Who cares if your hands get wet or greasy? It's summertime in Indiana with your sweet corn. Hold this. Here's your, and you want your, and he always likes fresh pepper on his. Okay, get that going. Here you go. Have a bite.
Good.
Indiana sweet corn. And that's it. That's an easy way to cook your corn. We've even cooked 3 to 4 ears at a time in the microwave. So it's very simple to do. Okay, let's talk chicken. I love to use my Instapot, and it's a very quick and easy way to cook your chicken very, very tender. I want to brown or saute my chicken first before we put it into the Instapot to cook. So just on the front of your Instapot, this one in particular has a saute button, and I'm going to let the bottom heat up in the pot. So I have the insert in here. See, it's telling me that, be careful. I'm adding just a little bit of oil. You can use, I'm using olive oil. You can use coconut oil, whatever, vegetable oil, whichever you choose. Not very much. Don't put very much down in there. I want to season my chicken, so I'm using some seasoning salt. Well, it's gotten a little stuck in there. There we go. Just a little bit of seasoning, give it some flavor. And a little bit of pepper. I can tell this is heating up very fast. We're just going to go ahead and lay the seasoned side down to brown for just a second, or not even brown, just to sear those juices and the seasonings inside there. Usually about 4 chicken breasts will fit in the bottom of this Instapot. Every one of them is different. So you want to let that sear for just a few minutes, and then we'll pull them back out. Now we want to cook our chicken completely. A little tip that I do, in the bottom of the Instapot, I'm leaving the little bit of grease and the little bits of pieces. You can use chicken broth, you can use water if you so choose. I like to use a little bit of pineapple juice. And I just add this to the bottom, half a cup to a cup. You take the rack that comes with your Instapot and place it down in here, making sure it's open. And then place the chicken back up on the rack. The liquid is underneath the rack, so it's going to essentially steam that, and you'll have some wonderful flavors in there. Your chicken broth will do the same, but I highly recommend using the low sodium chicken broth, or just don't salt your chicken as much. We want to take the lid and then twist on, making sure the steam is to the back. And then we're going to set this for about 10 minutes to cook. We'll cook things very fast. I love it to cook a lot of rice super fast in just like 5 minutes, and it's perfect. But you can do soups, stews, a lot of different things. It's very, very versatile. Okay, it seems like our pressure is out. I always make sure to turn things off here So I will hit the cancel button and I go ahead and unplug it just for safety. We twist our lid. It comes off really easy. We remove the chicken. Look at that. Perfect. Now you can, it's ready to eat, to add to things, or if you're one of these that likes to prepare your meals for the week, now it's ready to, once it cools just a little bit, to go ahead and put in the refrigerator or add it to another dish, to your salads or anything like that. What I like to do is shred my chicken. Some people will take and use 2 forks to shred chicken or pork or anything like that. But I like to do it in my mixer. So I take the chicken and I like to do it in halves. Now you can see as I've cut it that the chicken is perfectly done here. And I'm going to cut it into a couple of pieces, each half, and add it to my bowl. My beater's in. Goodness, totally. And I just run the beaters in the mixer and it shreds the chicken here for me. There's perfectly shredded chicken. See, this is great to add with a salad, or if you just prefer to eat shredded chicken. Really easy.